And they're working on them this morning, so I don't know whether.
I mean, I would help, but you know me, I don't even know what Facebook is. But if you need any technical assistance, you let me know.
I think we're good.
You right?
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Let's get this party started. So this is the June regular meeting.
Looks like Eric is here.
Oh, we got Eric. There's Eric.
What a handsome devil.
Oh, good looking cover.
I can't miss you guys for a month. Give me a break. I got to see you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Good. All right. So we're gonna call the meeting to order. June regular meeting, South County Industrial Development Agency. 4:31. And then we'll do a roll call. And do it. I'm here. Kevin,
Yes, here.
Tracy.
Yes.
Marty Sauer.
Here,
Eric Knowles.
Here.
Mary Towns.
yes,
Brenda Evans.
100%.
Wow. First time in a while. Good. Welcome, everybody. And we'll start with privilege of the floor. And we have Bill Stell from the town of Richford here.
Yes, correct. Good evening, folks. Lady, you can pull me in here. What I have, I'm also the code officer in town, and we're having an issue in there. But what I understand, the county owns the railroad now, or whoever owns the railroad and adjacent land to it.
The road.
So I was able to print out one picture. I have multiple pictures on my phone, but you know how technical thing is with the computer to work, and I have the same problem printing out pictures for as being a code officer in town too.
You should have Kevin come up and help you.
No problem. Next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Thank you, sir.
Sweet.
So this gentleman here that we're dealing with, he owns a third of an acre. But he has multiple vehicles that are unregistered, tractors, trailers, trucks have been there for X amount of years. And so we've been after him. He's got a camper parked in the street right now. He's got somebody living in. So we're in the process, yes. And the street is it's less than 5 rods wide, which we covered 3 rods. And I don't know the whole amount is where we're working on a parking ordinance of this small hamlet. It's down in the hamlet. So he thinks he can, and that's on one side of the street. It's on Mill Street. So if you go off of 79 Mill Street, does a U shape and it goes down to Railroad Avenue, Mill Street and Railroad Avenue. Well, on both sides of Railroad Avenue, he has multiple stuff like that. The residents, we have problems. The other residents are complaining about it, and I can show you other pictures here. Come on.
So is this stuff parked on?
It's on the county land. It's on the, yes,
On the IDA's property?
right.
It's on the right of way.
Now this don't wanna work.
Is it easy?
On the right of way. So I spoke to Elaine Jardine and she put me through to Megan. And then I spoke to her and she said, I'll try to get you on the docket. So what we're trying to do here is get him to possibly, and here's a picture if you folks want to see it. That's on the other side of all the stuff he has. And adjacent to that stuff. And it's been there for a good many years.
Just on both sides. of the
Yes,
street.
that is correct. If you scroll the picture, I took as many as I could. And go back the other way, and there's another one. Yeah, there's abandoned hay wagons and trailers, you name it, he's got it there. So as the town,
And with Tracy.
the person that mows our grass for the town mows that to keep it nice, and the other neighbors mow it. And there's a couple of houses on that street on Railroad Avenue that doesn't have a driveway. So they park on there anyhow, which has never been an issue. It's temporary parking, and they ain't there for a long period of time. They leave, and some of them do have driveways. But the issue I come to is, what can we do to try to mitigate this issue?
He doesn't have any
More
permission from us to
mitigation.
be there.
Uh,
So he doesn't have permission from us to be there.
Correct. So is there any possible way to get a letter from the board that addressing this, that he has X amount of time to move this stuff along with my letter? I mean, I think that's what Elaine said to me is, well, you are the code officer, but it's not on his property that I deal with his property maintenance of unregistered vehicles, which are allowed to have 2, you know, and if they're decent, whatever, disarray and stuff like that. The only problem we might have is he might claim the tractors as being ag tractors, but he does no farming. He's a truck driver.
I'm reading them calling all
You were
the time.
supposed to
So-
land again.
Huh?
I know you're disappointed, Eric, you can't see the picture, but. No, you're muted, we
You're also
can't hear you.
muted, but you sound great.
No, you're still muted.
Still muted.
You must have pushed the button.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
All right, I'm trying. I'm picturing this guy's moving to Waverly. That's what they want to do here.
I could, sir, I could only hope.
So what do you think, Joe?
Well, we can send them a letter and tell them he has absolutely no right to park there. Now, will that magically remove those?
Nope,
No.
and he's gonna
But I
ignore
think
you.
anything should start there.
Yep,
To,
he's gonna ignore
if
us.
he can,
Yep.
pretend that this time he has some license to park there. He doesn't. No rights whatsoever, so.
But is there anything that would prevent him from having to move since, as you said, they've been there for years?
You can't adversely possess in this, you can't adversely possess against, I guess I'd call us a government agency.
A municipality, so to speak, okay.
Even though
We
we're a public benefit corporation.
we could take his land, but he can't take ours.
We can take his, but he can't take his. Okay, and,
Well put.
so that's where we would start. Okay. well,
Pass that around. You've messed it all up.
I gotta send it.
He's sending them.
Okay,
pictures,
I'm sending.
so.
Bill, what's your telephone number?
My phone number is 856-689-689.
856. 89.
689.
Yep.
357-3573.
3573. Okay,
Are you gonna be able to read your writing?
that's a question. That's why I'm not gonna take a lot of notes, okay?
Okay,
All right.
that's a South Jersey number. I've been in town for 12 years. I retired out of there and moved up here to peace and quiet.
You thought.
Well, I got 15 acres, live on the top of the old Clark Seed Farm, if anybody knows where that is.
I don't, but.
Up on the hills, no neighbors.
So we
There's,
can,
there's a little information on me, but it'd be easier if I call you to get it, the fellow's name, what's the tax map number there.
by the way,
those kind of
Joe's our attorney.
Okay, good.
So I'll give you a shout.
Give me a shout, give me an email. My email is
Well, I just sent myself an email from your phone. I just sent the pictures
okay,
to me, so that was your phone, right? It was-
Yes, it was.
yes,
So I'll have your email,
Yeah, you could text him your.
Yeah.
Email.
however,
but I would think that's where we start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Letter this guy, let's get our position out there and
sure.
clearly.
All right.
Is it, to the best of your knowledge, of the vehicles and the farm equipment just belong to one fellow?
All that stuff belongs to one fellow,
Right.
all of it.
So he
Well-
owns 1/3 of an acre, and how much do you think he's actually taking out?
Of all that stuff?
Yeah.
Probably equivalent to 1/3 of an acre. Basically, he's got enough room for a double wide little garage that he has there. He even encroached on the farmer's land, and the farmer that land got sold. It was a big farmer, Stu Miller's farm, if anybody knows, coming into Richford, be the first one on the left-hand side. And the farmer asked him nicely, you gotta move that shed and your pig pen and all that stuff. Well, he kinda got pretty belligerent with him. The farmer said, no problem, I'll move it for you next year. And it got moved.
What's this guy's name, Adele?
Well, we had another issue with him that I had to deal with. He drives for Alliance out of Moravia. That's the fuel truck. Well, he parked the fuel truck right in the road. Can't plow around it, can't do nothing. So I went right to the business because I drive part-time on Tuesdays for a shopper that used to come in town here at one time until they decided not to. And went up there and the safety guy got kind of mad. I said, this ain't how it works. So then he ended up moving it. We gave him permission to park in the town barn, which is grateful that we did that just to get it off the street. So, and he just got a citation the other day from the DEC for burning copper in his backyard. So,
Kinda,
Well, you burn
he's burning it, so it's.
Building up.
Burning on the outside.
Yeah.
Get it
well,
down.
and then what he does too, other times I've had an issue with him, he has an outside boiler. What's he do? He burns his trash in there, and then the neighbors complain. And these houses are real close together down there.
Mhm.
It isn't like it's in an open space area. So,
the, sounds like a treat.
Yeah, we'll get him squared away.
hey, I greatly appreciate your time and thank you, and I'll be
Okay,
talking to
I'll
you.
get in touch.
Have a good evening, folks.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Get some overlay maps so we can see. All right, next, item on the agenda is approval of, May meeting minutes. Anybody have any commentary on those minutes that were sent out?
I make a motion, we approve them as sent.
Forget Kevin squared away, so he was given participation credit.
Appreciate that. I wanna get slapped on the wrist next time I get a pass.
That's right. We have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to financials, just a few minor cleanup items, nothing major there. Megan's doing a good job. Jan's been involved over the course of the past month for moving forward, for working. Anybody have questions on anything in the financial reports? Mr. Treasurer?
No, I thought everything looked wonderful for what I could understand.
If no questions, I'd look for a motion to acknowledge the financial statements.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. That moves us to EDMP update with Brittany.
So things are going well. We're working on finalizing the application with the Community Development Block Grant Micro Enterprise Program. And you know, that'll be the five or fewer employees, and there'll be grant opportunities for our small enterprise businesses if that gets awarded, which we think we'll get positive news on that. Megan just submitted 2 Restore New York applications, one for the Village of North Valley to rehab 2 properties on Wing Street, 10 Wing Street and 1416 Wing Street. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those buildings, so.
Right by our depot.
Yes, right by the depot. So that would be a huge improvement if we got that. And then the other is through Tioga County, for projects in the Village of Owego to construct 5 new single-family homes on Temple and Liberty Street. And that would be done through the land bank. And then some funds to finish rehab 81 North Ave. We're just continuing to work through the DRI projects. We're hoping to wrap a lot of them up this summer. We extended the contract for that through December. Village of Waverly, I'm sure you guys saw their New York Forward projects were announced. You know, so I think 9 of the 11 projects were awarded. East Waverly Park, there's some streetscape enhancements for Broad Street. And then the riverfront was the other kind of big project there, and then some smaller, other projects. There'll be a $200,000 fund available too for property owners. The land bank's been really busy. There's so much funding right now for land bank related initiatives, housing related initiatives, keeping Joe busy, bothering him all the time. We have 2 rehabs going on in Waverly that will sell as single family homes. We have one in North Valley that we're just wrapping up, 10 Watson Avenue, that we helped repair the foundation and pay for HVAC work on. We have another one in Owego starting, and then we're looking at 3 properties in the town of Berkshire right now. So it's been busy. And then we're also coming up on CFA season. We have a different CDBG for Catholic Charities that the county is considering applying for. Possibly a comprehensive plan update for the town of Nichols, and a New York Main Street application for a property on North Avenue in Owego. The state also just launched a new manufacturer program for our small to mid-sized manufacturers. a little different from their existing capital grant program because it doesn't require job retention, so it makes it a lot easier to access. So we may have one application going in for that program as well. And then we've been assisting the town of Berkshire with their master park plan update, so.
Yeah. Anybody have questions for Brittany?
Does anybody know what's going on with the, this neighborhood depot? Who's going in there? Because my understanding was it was gonna be Catholic Charities, Casa Trinity, the Racker Center, Rural Ministry, and there was a fifth one, I thought.
United Way,
Are they all still going in there?
Is Casa going in?
no Casa, so
Casa's out.
it was United Way, Racker, Rural Ministry and Catholic Charities. Those are the four. Catholic Charities is out at this point, but they had the smallest amount of space. They had like two kind of smaller offices that were really set aside for them. They are looking for someone else to fill those or to use it as like, I think they've had some conversations with DSS about, you know, if they need flex space or to meet with someone that they can use those spaces for them. But the other three, last I heard, they were in the process of signing leases and finalizing that.
Why did Catholic Charities opt out?
I think they were going through a transition. They're moving from their location now to another location and then just the timing wasn't right for them right now.
Some of those projects do take you outside of the windows of opportunity.
Yeah, well, their funding is, I know they're out there looking for more funds because they don't have enough to get done what they want to get done, so that's why I was kind of curious as to what happened there, but
Meaning the building process?
yeah,
I think they're doing their like capital campaigns, so like in their funding source, they came up with a certain amount of funding with all these grants and other things, and then they're doing like their capital fundraising campaign.
they're still out there raising funds.
Right.
Who actually owns that property?
Neighborhood Depot, they formed,
Oh, because
yeah,
that's like a form separate.
yes, yeah.
It's mostly gonna be the Racker Center though. They're gonna occupy the majority of the space in there. I met with the gentleman that's in charge of that and he's like, it's their property. They're gonna be in there. Like 3/4 of the building is gonna be for Rackers people.
No, see,
Rural
I heard the
Ministry
opposite.
is-
I heard that rural ministry would have a larger portion.
I saw the plans. That's
Well, Racker was kind of steering the ship initially, but that was
I don't know.
last.
So,
And he also, I just spoke with one of their funders today and they are looking for 4% more money. So,
the Rural Ministry is taking up like one half. They have a large,
Yeah.
really large conference room in the center. I think Racker's on the left, is that right, Megan? And then United Way has like a small section in the back and then Catholic Charities, and then they have the restrooms with the showers and stuff, because it's supposed to be an emergency shelter
kitchen, is
too.
it kitchen?
Yeah, on Rural Ministry side, there's a kitchen.
Just curious.
Yeah. To new business and our discussion that'll be ongoing until we get it figured out. So our vacated position, empty chair. We talked about this a smidge at last month's meeting. We still have not posted. Leanne worked on a little bit of a adjusted, job description, if we want to go the route of more of an admin. That's something that just kind of got ironed out a little bit. You didn't send that out to everybody.
No,
did
just.
you? Yeah. But that's kind of the first topic of discussion here is back to the old director versus administrator. I think when we talked last month, people were leaning towards that administrator spot, but again, we're back to the same discussion. We haven't really made progress. The last month, my efforts have really been trying to get our Band-Aid in place. I think it's working relatively well. Megan can tell me if she feels different, but, Jan's come in, I know Leanne's met with Jan, you know, again, in reviewing financials, I don't think we've really missed anything over the course of the last month. I think we've got a halfway decent Band-Aid in place, but there's other things that, you know, as time goes on, I'll slip through the cracks. You know, there's some things that I'd like to recommend some changes to in regards to docs, and I need to think about, okay, who's updating documents, who's posting new documents to the website, you know, those are all things that aren't necessarily really figured out at this point, but, I think it's time, certainly time to post this job. I mean, my thought is to post for that admin position with the abbreviated description that I think you've worked on. And again, this is kind of just open floor discussion if people have other thoughts on that.
Well, the admin piece, I don't really have any issue with that. That always puts more heft on a board to make, a little more in-depth decisions, and a lot of times, reading 20-page documents on an afternoon to make a decision in the next,
10
several
minutes.
hours sometimes doesn't fit a board member's description. It happens, but everybody's got a regular job. So the admin, I think, pushes, if you're looking at that, it pushes more back on the board. And it really, I think it depends on participation from, the group that's in here now. Is there gonna be some type of continued?
You've got 5 items under this new business, and I think they all bleed together.
Oh, that's what I looked at and I thought the same.
Because Marty got a hold of me during the course of the past month to talk about 20,000 that we've been providing to ED&P over the years, and that has changed over time. That was initially for an ag position. That was your job initially. I mean, that's not saying now. We've still provided that 20,000. Again, I'm just speaking openly. I want everybody to do the same thing. My thoughts are, and Leanne and I discussed it a little bit before in regards to job description posting previously, the day-to-day functionality of our employee was really with the daily guidance of support of Leanne's consultant position. The thought is now is, do we change that to be Brittany?
Have you talked to Brittany about that?
No, but,
I think you
but,
should talk to her first before you bring it up in front of her
and again, these are just open discussions. I'm not saying anything gets decided today.
yeah,
But the issue is this is the only time that we get to talk to everybody.
right.
And I am one person.
I'm not being critical of
Right,
you.
no.
I just don't wanna see her get blindsided.
No, but again,
You're fine, you're fine.
Okay.
if we're gonna continue to give 20,000, which I don't have an issue with, it is very difficult. I've only been on the board for about 5 years. Everything bleeds together. It just does. And over the course of the 5 years I've been on this board, opportunities don't come directly to the IDA. And I don't see that changing unless, again, we can hire a director and try to go that route. Or that's caused clashes in the past. My worry is if we don't get past this issue, how are we gonna be clear on what the job expectation is? What are we posting for? That's why we haven't done anything up to this point. We're kind of paralyzed. At least I feel paralyzed to some degree.
But if we hire somebody to be an administrator,
Mm-hmm.
and then we decide that that person is qualified to be a director, we can move in that direction, correct?
You certainly could. You certainly
Could,
could.
but you've tried that 3 times and so far it
Got
hasn't.
slapped upside the head.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, over the course of the past couple of years, I feel as though there's been a tremendous amount of oversight that's been necessary and a lot of time spent overseeing someone that should have been able to have been independent. And it wasn't happening.
So we had an administrator that was supposed to be doing a director's job, but was doing an administrator.
Well, and you were the only one that called out the meeting when we made some of those decisions that you don't proactively compensate someone for something they are going to do.
Right.
And we made that mistake and.
Right.
Didn't work out. Again, this is all a moving
target. Nothing is set in stone. I'd like to get there sooner than later, otherwise we're gonna stay in this limbo spot.
Yeah, and that's not good for, that's not good for the board, it's not good for this organization, it's not good for anybody.
I mean,
Especially not good for the ED&P people that are gonna have to try to keep this.
well, and starting, and having the knowledge that I have now, which is completely different than what I had 5 years ago, there's a lot that you could be tasking even an admin person with, and what's the expectation? I mean, you're not gonna find somebody out there that's gonna be an accountant, a loan originator, an underwriter. Yeah. Good luck. I mean, maybe you'll find that person, but start stretching our budget. And that, and we've got the resources at this point, but then you better be pretty assured that that person is gonna bring in business and start making some money. I mean, it is good, certainly good news that we've got railroad revenue that's perked back up. That's a good thing. That'll help.
John, I think the other part that, we need to be aware of too is that right now, between Megan and I, we're kind of filling that gap, but I don't know after the end of this year, I'm gonna be here continuing. And certainly with, I don't want to speak for you or your staff, but, Megan, I think, took this responsibility with the understanding it was going to be short term because she's got new responsibilities as well.
right.
Did you want to say anything to that or?
Yeah, I mean, I think Megan was kind of with the thought of like a 3 to 4 month. I don't want to speak for you either, Megan, but that was kind of the thought initially with that.
And I think we can certainly still get there. It's just, it becomes a question of again, if we're really chasing down a true director, do we need to make, I don't know what people's thoughts are on the 20,000 contribution to ED&P. If we're going with an admin and we can count on support to some degree, it's hard because it's not tangible. It's not in writing right now. I don't have a problem continuing to recommend that we make that 20K contribution with the thought that we'll get some level of support there. I know you were talking about hiring somebody that, will help to advertise and market the loan programs.
Yeah, yep.
Things like that again are, something structured. But your thoughts on the 20?
Well, I mean, you're gonna keep the 20 for the rest of the
For
year.
this year, right?
Yeah.
But and the whole discussion is, again, you're in budget season, it won't be long, we should be starting to talk about budget
Right.
here by
Right,
August
so-
time.
And that's what it brought, because we're bringing on new leadership in our end and we're looking at the dollars. And
Mhm.
if that position, meaning the Cornell Cooperative Extension helper with the farm or whatever, you're getting paid, Leanne's getting paid directly. So there was no reason for that 20 to come. But now if something else happens regarding ED&P,
I guess it just depends, and again, we can talk offline if you want, how involved does ED&P want to be with IDA in regards to, and
I don't think it's a bad thing to clarify that 20,000. It's been a while since that's been.
yeah, I think on
revisited, so
our
I don't
books, it's
have-
still really considered a.
right, but that was for a specific.
for the
For the
ag.
ag, and I think
Right.
at some point it transitioned into the separation of duties.
Right.
But now I get what you're saying, the position we're in now. Megan's kind of doing that, so I get what you're saying, so I don't think it's a bad thing to look at it again. I do think, like, we talked about our new AcDev person who's starting, being that small business support resource and, trying to, get out there with your guys' loan programs and make loans and things like that, so I do think that's another thing we would kind of provide there. It doesn't make sense to have, on our end, when people call, it doesn't make sense to speak with one of our people about grants and then Christine or whoever it was about loans, so it kind of
Right.
makes more sense to have one person.
We
handle
work
that.
together as a team. My only concern is, and I have not talked to you about this, is that you let Brittany think about this a while, because, sitting in meetings with her this week and her plans and the new hiring people, she's bringing in one new person and we're gonna empower her to hire another person. Everybody's really, really new. if you look at the workload that she has, it's huge. So I'm being protective here, but it would be great if you guys could have a conversation. And you really, really think about it. We're busy, but
Well, the way things are going, if we don't do something to make a decision about this tonight, we're gonna be another month.
Right.
We'll
That's
be-
my worry.
It'll be 4 months before we do anything. It'll be the end of the year before we make a decision, so.
The reality is, you're gonna have a lot of new everywhere.
Right.
Because no matter what you bring in here, they'll be new too. And that's gonna be a challenge regarding.
So let's just- Who at this point in time is in favor of an administrative person for the IDA? That, you know, again, to Tracy's point, we're gonna kick the can down the road again for another 30 to 60 days. And, you know, you're talking 60 days if you don't advertise, because you can talk about it again in 30, but it's gonna take you 30 before you get a resume on your table. So,
We're talking Thanksgiving or Christmas.
yeah,
before we
so
make a
I mean,
decision.
just go around the table. Who would be in favor of putting search out for administrative position
And
today?
before we do that, from what you're saying, you don't think that we'll be able to find a director as readily as we can find an administrator? Am I,
Right, that's my
That's your
thought,
feeling?
that is my thought, yeah.
And I
Well, and
agree with
again, I think another piece of this is, and again, Leanne may know the answer to this better than I do, you know, in the event that we were fortunate enough to have a big project that required a pilot, is there somebody out there that we might be able to hire on a short-term basis on a consulting agreement to help with something like that?
Sure.
And maybe that's the route.
Absolutely,
prevent.
that's possible.
so if you hire an administrator now, you're fine till the end of the year because Leanne is the consultant, just set the background.
Mhm.
So you get somebody on board, and then if you want to hire a director also, you could,
If we go that route.
if
but
you
again,
go that way.
I
But I'm
feel-
just saying, you
yeah.
can have an administrator that would be separate to that. You got Leanne to back you up with the history and the knowledge.
I just feel like, again, if you go that route, then you're gonna be back to potential, you know,
all right, I'm ready to say, I'm willing to hire an administrator. Or you
I'm gonna come in from Zoom land, just a couple things. I'm in favor of administrator, administrative support right now. Couple things, I mean, it's gotta be a person that can do basic finance, right? Be able to answer the phones, direct people where they need to direct them for the biggest piece. ED&P, it seems like to me for small business we're kind of a piggy bank, right? Like we want those loans generating in one place, not in three. So if we have one point of contact there, then they can run them back through us and that'll come to the loan committee, right? So we already have that established. I think that's the best way to start it. I mean, ED&P is so close with us. I think it's just important that we do maintain some connection, but we need our own person answering the phones and taking care of that stuff. I think for now, let's start there. Let's reopen the door.
Okay, so he said administrator, I say administrator.
And I'm fine with the administrator. That's the direction I think that makes the most amount of sense to go at this point. Again, I don't want to start a power struggle right out of the gate with throwing somebody in the chair that, I mean, who knows, you might find a rock star and change your opinion, but I don't know that we got to post that way.
That's the, you know, you get an administrator, you get somebody to, you know, get things rolling again, get back on track. But if you're not looking for the rock star, here we are, and here we're gonna be. And this, you know, I mean, we can say whatever we want. Everybody works together. It's a nice fit. You know, Team Tioga, all that stuff is great. But the IDA is gonna be the IDA at this level for the foreseeable future with an administrator. Whereas if you were looking for somebody that was gonna, you know, kick it up a notch, I don't, that's just one thought. Today, I'm in favor of an administrator, and let's see
Right.
how things go. But you get what I'm saying, Leanne, about
Yeah, I think that
you know, you're shooting at a target. If you're not shooting for the center, you know, you're just goofing off.
Yeah, the challenge, I think, and I think we found this historically, is that admin person is not the director person. They're two different people. And to bring someone in as an admin and expect to advance them to director, that those are two different people.
Hmm.
So that, I think, is what we've been challenged with to this point. You know, so
We need
So
to-
hire an admin, and then if you
We
find
need to-
yourself in a position where you got enough balls to juggle, then we gotta,
Right, and if there's business coming down the road,
right,
because right now, big manufacturing is not coming.
So what do you think?
you
Administrator?
can't think why.
Yes, I already said so.
Okay.
and
You wanna hear the
to
debate.
your point, though.
We only got two more people to say what they want. Okay.
Yeah.
Do the dollars
Sorry,
and cents.
go ahead.
Well, and that's just it, the dollars and cents say, if you want to get a director and have them support themselves, you need big projects.
Right.
Because that's the only thing, that's the only way that we generate 6 figures of revenue in a pot.
Yes.
And since I've been on this board, we've had approvals for those projects, none of them have been advanced.
Right. The dynamic has changed.
What were you gonna say?
When, I always say when, not if, when that big project comes along, then you shift and you know, Brett had good comment on a person to bring on, ad hoc person, you know, bring them in for that particular project.
Right.
Right.
Move it forward, but do you need someone in that role all the, right? Not right now. Hopefully we get to that, but we've got a little work to do first. We've got a little work to do.
Sounds to me like everybody's on the same thing.
So now we should, who goes about doing the posting?
I'll
You'll do it?
I'll do.
We have the description.
Well, Leanne was fine tuning an updated one that was really more admin related. So we'll get that back out.
So what I would expect is the governance committee will come together, we'll share the proposed job description with the governance committee, look for governance committee input and then share that with the full board, see if we get concurrence, and with that, we'll
We'll
go.
post, yeah. So we can get that out here in the next few days and then we can set up a Zoom meeting with Eric and Mary and I.
And in the
Alright.
meantime, we'll meet with Brett
We
and,
got a head shake from the big guy, we're good.
Right, let's
That's a-
go, baby.
That's the treasurer.
Right,
So you know.
right.
Not for long.
Well, and we're so
Yeah.
blurred in all these issues here, we still gotta figure out what Brenda's doing.
Hey, wait a minute, didn't anybody tell you that's a lifetime position?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Joe, get me out of this. It's not my purview.
Until we hire somebody, I'm not doing signature cards again, it's a pain in the butt. So
Oh,
you're
man.
not, man.
Good call.
Speaking of which, actually, you're not in the butt in the seat, so I still have to chase you down.
I'll buy you lunch.
Okay, sounds good. Good, all right,
So the other details is governance gonna, like salary range, the rest of the.
yeah.
points.
So what I'll do, Mary, is I'll see if I can get maybe Kelly or somebody give me an idea of what, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Get an idea what a county admin type position, what the range is there. I'll bring that to the governance committee as
We just
well. And
posted one.
you just posted one?
I mean, we have an opening in my office for the secretarial position. So I hope it probably would be similar. We try to offer more.
Well, we'll see what it is at the county level, a comparable position and
Try
then.
to offer more, you might lose the position or person that you hired.
No, I would just assume that you brought them through and did the interviews, and then we could just hire them. You
You want me
can
to
give us
screen
some
them?
recommendations, and we'll
Okay.
pay them more, how's
I'll
that?
screen them and then you can steal them.
But speaking of that,
Yeah.
that is the next part. So there'll be the recommendation, come back to the board, say, okay, and then the governance committee will actually do the initial interviews and make a recommendation to the whole board.
So we're talking full or part-time? You come there yet?
I don't think this is a part-time,
No,
as an administrative position, I don't think the IDA thing is part-time, at least coming in, because I think we've lacked a whole lot of
You
staying
need to
on
get
top
caught
of
up.
things.
need to get caught up before we do anything else. That's a
You
problem.
know, I mean, I'm not commenting on what's going on today, but I think in previous months, and maybe many of them, there's been a lack of staying on top of IDA business.
So is the loan committee, or is the loan program, I think it is something you want to beef up, and if it is that administrative or is that director?
Well, we've done some work on that. And that's part of today's agenda. I'd like to sit down with the loan committee and go through our programs, because I think there are some nuances in our procedure and policy that are stumbling blocks for a lot of our applicants.
Mhm.
Until we clean that up, I have seen firsthand that it creates demand issues. There's demand, and then they realize some of the I dotting and T crossing that's involved, and then there's not demand.
Mhm.
So I think we have to start there. Leanne has spearheaded an effort with REDEC to provide some underwriting help, you know, on a as needed basis and a
Mhm.
per application payment structure. So I think we can beef up that portfolio with an admin.
Mhm.
But again, you know, that goes back to, it would be beneficial, I think, to have somebody, as we talked about before, that can market that and that can clearly indicate to an applicant what the programs are, what the application process is, things to that nature, which isn't terribly complicated, but it's one of those things that you need to be able to tell the story thoroughly and efficiently. Otherwise, you end up piecemealing and you get somebody submit an application and then halfway through pull it because they didn't realize what they were getting themselves into. So we've got the funds to do more than what we're doing,
Yeah,
so. But yeah, I mean, that is another topic, full-time, part-time.
I initially thought part-time, but I really think due to exactly what you're saying, we've got a lot of catch up to do. I think full-time would probably be.
And then, I mean, again, and we can cover some of this stuff in governance too, is, you know, again, workforces change. How flexible can we be? Are you gonna expect somebody chained to the desk from 9 to 5 with your hour lunch break? You know, things to that nature. I mean, it all depends on.
It really depends on the applicant. I mean, there's a lot of people that can work really well sitting in their chair or on the fly, and
Right. Right.
I mean, that, I think that just goes to the individual.
Yep.
If you have somebody that, you know, works every other Friday from home, or, you know, those are kind of carrots.
But those are
go out
carrots
there
that
for
I think,
somebody.
again, when you talk about the fact that we're not gonna be able to offer top dollar compensation, you can offset with some of that stuff as long as we
You
can
just decided we're offering more than Mary.
There you go.
Not saying much.
Well, we'll reconvene in governance.
Sounds like
We'll
governance
meet.
committee's got this under control to me.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Great.
I think.
It's within their purview, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I think so. Trying to figure full-time. Let's figure out the job posting, and then we just gotta run with it,
Go, man.
you know.
Ready?
You have an agenda?
Set.
You have an agenda? You have an agenda? Did anybody give you one?
Yes.
You're good. Anything else in there you wanna cover, or good?
No, I'll just, not that you guys need this opinion here, but.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, the land bank, it was the same, especially with the accounting stuff, when we switched to QuickBooks Online and started working with Bowers, it like made all the difference.
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there, cause I mean, I have to do the basic. I cut the checks, I put them into QuickBooks, but I don't have to be an accountant and understand how I'm, you know, shifting the funds through the properties. It's just stuff that, you know, I took accounting 1 and 2, you know, so I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there too. I think working with an accountant on some of those. I mean, I know you guys work with Jan too on, I think it's quarterly.
Yeah,
basis?
she
Yeah.
does a quarterly.
She
review.
generally does quarterly reconciliations. I've asked her to come in more frequently for the time being until we get things squared away, but we're not online, so somebody, you know, you have to physically be in the office to get onto QuickBooks.
Yes.
That would probably-
So what do you have, how much do you pay for that service? Do you have an
Bowers,
idea?
I think it's like $750 a month we pay. They do our bank recs, they do all of our adjustments, they do a ton. They're lifesavers, they help with our audit.
Do they
I mean-
do, you don't have payroll, do you?
We don't have payroll, no.
But they do parish reporting and stuff.
They help, we don't pay them for that, I do that, but they help me with it when I have questions for it, I'm sure they would.
Cause
They
again,
can
that's a
do-
whole nother discussion point, but if you steer that route, you might be able to then hire somebody on that part-time basis. So that might be somebody where you can send me their contact info.
Yeah,
I don't know, as you would rule out hiring a part-time individual, but
Mhm.
I think the goal would be to hire a full-time
Right.
individual.
Well, again, if you then hire somebody without burdening them with that, ideally, they would be somebody that's self-starting and really can get into the meat and potatoes of everything that we got out there in our policy manual and everything else and truly understand what we offer and process.
We've hired that self-starting position before. I'm just gonna
It's
call
hard,
bullshit on
it's
that.
hard to find somebody that's self-starting. And
Ain't
you
no
just-
self-starters out there
A
anymore.
lot of big words.
I think the applicants who are gonna apply for a part-time versus a full-time job are gonna be very, very different.
Yes.
It's
agreed.
a, yeah,
Because people are
you're
gonna
looking
need
for
benefits
needle and right,
of full-time.
yeah, well,
Usually, I mean, not everyone, but the person who's gonna be happy with a part-time job is gonna be a very different candidate than somebody who needs to either support a family or support themselves or whatever.
and we've talked about that challenge before. Again, we are a small entity, and if you need somebody that needs a family health plan, we probably can't afford that person.
Right, right.
Unfortunately,
That's,
so it's a
that's
tight
another,
spot.
yeah, that's another aspect too, but that's why advertising for part-time, it's
Mhm.
gonna yield a completely different candidate.
So,
It's nice to think that somebody would walk through the door and not need health insurance, but
they're out there, like I
I'm
said, it
barking.
depends, yeah.
you're a bargain.
I am a bargain for the county for another 6 or 8 years.
But you get what I'm saying,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
They're not out there.
yeah, it's hard, it's really difficult to hire without health insurance.
Yep.
Extremely.
So we'll lean
So we had a
full-time.
program for Christine, didn't we? And she paid into it.
We were covering the
Percent.
majority of it. I think we were covering it at 80, well, it was supposed to be at 80% and ended up being at 100 for a while, but.
It's out of my head, it didn't come out my mouth.
Right. Individual coverage is pretty affordable when you get into basically adding, even when you add your kids, it's better. Once you add your spouse, they don't want your spouse on there, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's $25,000 a year for a family plan.
Family plan is crazy, but again, what I have found, because I've gone through all the motions, I had myself and kids, and then I added my wife.
Maybe wish you weren't married, didn't it?
Hey, this isn't one of those sessions where, you know, you let your feelings out.
No. All right,
I forgot we're recording.
we beat that up enough.
Yeah.
You got it covered.
All right, committees. Audit. We're good for a while now, nothing there. Governance, this says no report, but buckle up, we got work to do. So we'll get going.
Well, there was some, did anybody see the news that was coming out of Albany? The bill about the IDAs that went through, was passed through the Assembly and the Senate?
What'd they say?
You're gonna have to have union leadership on your IDA, and you're gonna have to have either a school superintendent or a Board of Education member.
We got half of that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're halfway there.
What
Who
was
was
that
the
first
first
one?
person?
Union.
It has to be a union leadership, local union leadership.
Well, that's a challenge because we don't have another seat available on the board.
Just saw it today.
How much time do we have? I'm going in a year and a half.
Well, it's coming from Albany, so it'll either be tomorrow or 3 years from now. So, one of the two.
My question is always the same. What happens if you don't comply?
Yeah, I don't know. I met with DiNapoli. It wasn't great.
That was passed.
It's going to the governor's office. It passed both the Assembly and the Senate.
At least that's better than the other one.
We just need to find an electrician then or somebody.
Yeah.
You gotta be a trained electrician starting next month.
Okay.
Sounds like reading material for job.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Absolutely.
We'll have to, do maybe you have
This is
to.
definitely within your
We've got
purview.
it.
Somebody on MA,
Always.
You have?
Josh is
Who?
an electrician, but
Never mind.
I can't remember, I think he's in the union, but I don't know if he's union member, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that really, I mean, I don't know what the narrative is.
McManus?
He would be a part of the electricians union, but I don't know if that's.
Dan, I'm sorry, Dan.
Bernie Hartman.
Who's the union?
I hate unions, so.
All right,
Well, that's
nothing out
gonna
of
go
mine.
really well.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something.
Loan committee, so there's some stuff on the loan committee. Brittany brought up micro enterprise grant as part of that. I inquired with the loan committee if, there was interest to be the reviewer of applicants and then, make, that committee would make recommendations for funding. I think I heard from everybody except Mary.
I don't think you heard from me, cause I don't think I can do that right now. I think that's my
And
answer.
that's, so we've got a good start though. I think we've got,
There was a lot of other yeses.
there wasn't a lot of other yeses. And then I got the silent treatment from Mary.
It was not meant to be an insult, but there's been a lot going on.
It's all good. So, probably time on that.
Do you need something in writing about that, or?
Do you need it for the application or just that's what we're doing?
Yeah, I think, yeah, and they just wanted the resumes of
Of the loan
which I
committee?
had, so,
Okay,
yeah,
so we're good.
I think we're good for now. Even more reason I'm happy.
Just in going over reconciliations and everything else, there's been some discussion about trying to formalize new loan recipients and existing if possible to go on auto pay. Again, we'll get down this later in regards to setting up work session for loan committee, but that just helps simplify our amortizations. Anytime anybody pays, even if it's 50 cents more than their regular payment, it's a very manual process. We don't have bank software to automatically do calcs, but I don't know if we can require it. I don't know.
Can we require, Joe, that, as a stipulation of the approval, that their payment be made by,
Like electronic.
Electronic?
draft.
Require anything we want.
We may go that route then.
Good
Now, at
answer.
the credit union, one of the banks, they offer you a little bit of fraction difference.
Yeah, we
interest
used to
rate.
do that at our bank too, and we could talk about that. We don't do it anymore, but used to have a slightly reduced rate for doing an automatic payment.
But I don't see any reason why we can't. There's no regulations that would,
It'd be very helpful just for our own,
why don't we
bookkeeping?
just do it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I like Joe's
That's-
answers. Do it.
That one was-
Just do it. He's like a Nike guy now.
Eric's looking over your shoulder, by
I
the way.
guess so.
Checking out the top of your head, Joe.
Is there anything in there?
All knowledge, Joe, all knowing.
Leanne's been so gracious that she's volunteered to give us a breakdown of our loan portfolio for next meeting, so that's yet to come, and that'll include a review and an update of our AM schedules of our existing portfolio. Streetec is gonna put something more formal in place for us to sign so that there is we approved this last month that they would provide underwriting services for us, but we still gotta get something formalized in regards to that. And then the other item that came up here recently is we've got some work to do on our paint program, if we want to keep that around or just try to get that bled into our facade program.
Yeah, I don't know, cause you saw that I found the old stuff.
It was all old, there was nothing ever really truly formalized that we could,
Uh,
yeah. So I think it might just be My personal thought up to this point and opinion, and again, we can flesh this out at loan committee, is to just try to abbreviate our facade loan process a little bit more, right? They're not big loans, they're 0%.
Yeah,
Most of the hang up is with life insurance. Do you really need life insurance on $20,000 loans?
I think the other thing with it too, it's reimbursable, so it's kind of like we do reimbursement with grants, but it's kind of strange with a loan, because they have to go out and fund the whole project
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
and then you guys reimburse them.
Yeah, and again,
And you start the loan payment. So
Yeah.
It just doesn't,
yeah, and again, these are all gonna be local projects. Thought would be is if you have somebody with a little bit of wherewithal, they can go out and say, okay, you did this, and if you have to do it in progression, it's gonna be a lot more palatable to an applicant
Yeah.
to do it that way. So again,
As long as it's a progression.
right, yeah, you're not gonna give it all up front. No, trust me, yeah. I get to play that game every day, but,
No Wendy hamburgers today, I'll tell you tomorrow.
well, and I would say, again, you know, when it comes to a contractor issued draw schedules, I would say are approved on a first pass through the bank on maybe 5% of the time, first pass, rarely happens. So I can help with that, but, we'll send something out for governance, we'll send something out for loans. Cause I'd like to get that work sessions scheduled. And then railroad, there's been some items sent out. Big increase, about 268% increase over, March, April 23 versus March, April 24.
that's a heck of a railroad committee you got there.
all due to the committee, right?
As John says it was that last meeting, I'm sure it pushed us over the top.
Scared the bejesus out of them.
I think it just took this long for it to come back around. Cars availability,
Yep.
Pricing.
Well, again, we're not keeping tabs on them every month, but I am curious, because I know they talked about, you know, just about a guaranteed new person that's gonna use the old.
Pipe,
paint
Yeah,
factory or
Robinson.
whatever.
pipe place, pipe plant down
I
there.
wonder where that's
And
at.
I saw somebody back in that area. I can't.
I just said it's hard to
remember just
see
when, but I
from,
think somebody's been back in there cleaning things up or, doing
Every time I
something.
drive by there, I wanna drive back in.
well, if anybody's going to the
What's
county,
going on?
county services, excavate in a couple of weeks, you might just have to wander a little bit.
There you go.
Services.
Didn't you see the signs, the red and white signs, the expo? June 21st,
Right.
right?
That's right.
They're everywhere.
They are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of a big deal.
Come and see what you got.
Do that. The other thing you see everywhere is the Strawberry Festival sign.
So,
They're-
I went to Lockheed the other day, Senator Schumer was there.
Sorry,
And-
lucky for you.
Man comes with
Pomp and
millions and millions and millions of dollars, you show up. So he did talk about funding, 10 more helicopters, but he also talked about an agreement between Intel and Lockheed Martin for testing chips. Now, the big chip manufacturing is coming up near Syracuse. So that's what Lockheed's gonna do is go through whatever plan that is to test chips, because they're gonna use them in so many various ways, but probably for the military. They've been doing a little bit of it, but it's just starting up.
How busy is it up there?
A what?
How busy is it up there in regards to occupancy? Could you tell when you're up
I
there?
don't
I'm
know.
always just curious how much of that campus is really being used. A lot of their folks are still remote,
Yeah,
at least partially.
I know there's a lot of, administrative staff that's remote. And strangely, there's quite a few of them that aren't that awful happy about it.
The remote people are
Yeah.
happy about
They
being.
don't like being at home.
Which old people's that?
There are,
I can't get my mother off the couch.
yeah.
They had a lot of Navy people
She
working up
won't,
here,
she won't. She's like done with this shit.
You got a lot of what?
Navy people.
Oh, I thought you said
Military.
naked people.
No, no.
I thought maybe something had changed.
Well, that would have, the first story. It would have been the first story.
You can't hear, and your mind is not working right.
Oh, thinking, wow, Marty, did you just say that with a straight face? Yep, getting better.
We better move on.
So we
before
got
something
for
else
committee
takes place.
updates,
Couldn't let that go.
pilot updates, everybody's within their, authorized amounts for sales tax, although Megan, I assume nobody was proactive and gave us a number between last meeting and now? Or did they? I doubt it. I don't know if Christine had to chase that.
No, I think it says, no, that's a big NO.
Sales tax exemption only, Joe and Susan in his office have been active in regards to some of the time extensions, increase amounts that have been asked for. And it's come to light that with some of these, you can look at the dollars of some of them out there that if we don't set some sort of minimums or modify our fee structure a little bit, we are providing a benefit potentially at what will end up being a pretty material cost to us with no material income to offset. Based on discussions that we've had, the recommendation that I would like to make is, right now, we have a current application fee of $250, that the thought is to leave that. But to implement a new fee upon the approval of any sales tax exemption is $750. So that'll basically be $1,000 to the IDA for application and approval for any of these. That's, go ahead.
That does, John takes out the, it kind of takes out the $1,000,
Right.
Right. I quite frankly can't see why we chase that at all.
Absolutely, it's so ineffective cost wise.
Right. I mean, you offer other
And
avenues
$1,000
of
bucks,
funding.
what is that, it's like $1,250?
Well, you'll
They
get,
have
I
at
mean,
least 12,000 in materials to
Right.
generate $1,000 bucks.
Yeah.
and plus
And
you'll
that
get
covers
you'll get your
fees
structured
for
fee on top of that based on what they are
paperwork
spending.
and- I don't have
But
an issue with that.
Makes sense to me.
A $3,000 deal's same work as a $50,000.
Right.
Right,
That's-
right, or more, sometimes more.
Right,
Right.
absolutely.
Do you set a minimum on something like that, or do you?
You can either do it set a minimum or just the $1,000 fee sets its own minimum.
To a degree, right? The thought was, because we talked about, do you implement a fee for any time somebody makes a modification request? And you could go that way, but if you've got somebody like a Best Bev, where their modification requests are earning us between $4,000 and $10,000 each time, I'm okay with those. Do you want to nickel and dime that person as basically what they get penalized for some of these dinky ones, these smaller ones?
Right. No, I'm fine with this.
And that's not to say this is-
Said it's,
It sets its own minimum.
It's not to say that we won't be back a few months or a year from now requesting something else, but at least my thought is this is a start.
I think it's a good one.
Okay,
So I would be looking for a motion to approve a new
motion.
implementation fee of $750. Okay, I got it.
Now you're still talking. We
All
already
right.
have a motion.
All in, all in approval, say aye.
Yes,
Anyone want to dissent?
that was a unanimous.
Unanimous, so carried. Now, the question just becomes is, again, we're kind of in limbo here. We gotta get this documented somewhere, and put into effect. So, I don't know.
Make a note of that, would you? I
I
don't know what you've been doing to this retirement stuff, just get your act work together and get it
I
done.
want you to know, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah,
But you only have to the end of the year.
hey, it's within our purview to decide what you signed up to. Right, Joe?
Right.
I don't have a problem doing some of this stuff.
Attachment, that this stuff is not in there,
Who
but.
makes that attachment, Christine? It doesn't matter.
All I know is living real life examples of, it's a lot easier to do it now, rather than say, what meeting did we approve that heck? But.
Just so you know, we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
We'll get you some
Second
flowers.
that motion.
We'll get some flowers or something.
I think that's the only change.
Flowers, heck, bourbon is what she's looking for.
Get her some of that too.
I don't know
Never mind.
how easy is it to update these docs and upload them to our website? You know where they're.
I do not know how to update or to update the website.
Yeah, I mean, you can go see Jeremy or somebody, they can show you.
You don't, do you know how to do that by chance?
Yeah, I have access.
There you go. Piece of cake.
I
That's
think
her
some of our
purview. You
docs
got
just need-
purviews everywhere here tonight.
Honestly, I think some of our docs are in fact updated, they just never made it to the website.
So I'll take a look at the website and see what it looks like it's.
Megan?
I already know there are documents out there that are Word documents that need to be converted
To
to
PDF.
PDF.
Yeah.
Because there are minutes out there that are out there as Word.
You concerned?
Not really.
Me neither.
So when we get an administrator hired, that person. can-
That's right, they can do that. So we're hiring a full-time so they can get that stuff taken care of.
Can I get somebody that's savvy?
We're looking so serious up there.
I really miss you guys.
Yeah, that, like a toothache.
Alright. That'll be a good, and, you know, I can help as much as I can, but I don't know where any of this stuff. And then, this is like a toothache too, where we gotta get moving on it, this pilot transition plan. So we talked about last meeting, putting together a formation committee. And I'll take any volunteers, otherwise I'll just send an email out and take volunteers and get voluntold.
Do we know what other IDAs are doing? Because I understand some have just said, nope, you're done, and cut them off, and
That's essentially what we're doing in room. It is what it is, figure out how to deal with it.
it's, yeah, because let them know what's coming, and then it's done.
Well, we have somebody on the big screen that's probably as versed in how this affects.
I think he was the one that suggested, just cut them off.
And, well, I just said that's what everybody else does, right? Like, I mean, we're trying to solve a problem. And what it does is it jacks your tax cap up for a year. The money doesn't really change that much. Makes it hard for the people to understand, you know what I mean, the numbers, because it's the same amount of money coming into the levy. It's just now they're going on to the real property tax roll, so they should be paying about the same amount of money, right? Like that's the goal of it. So Corey has to explain it, you know, in the best way he can. It's a pain in the butt, but it's a 1 year bump.
Right,
Yeah.
but it hurts pretty bad for that 1 year as far as their tax cap.
Yeah, it does. It's going to jack their tax cap up, but your actual taxes, you know what I mean, as a property owner, should not jump
Right.
because the same amount of money's coming into the levy. People look at the budget and they don't look at the levy. You know,
Right.
you guys know that because you do it all the time, but I mean, it's the levy is the key.
Right, I went and talked to Bob Farrell about this and he explained it to me and it's like a light came on, I finally got it.
Yeah, it's just the tax cap number looks like huge, and you really need to go to it to maximize that real property tax. So that's the tough piece you've got.
And I know in Broome, the last project that this created a stir on was the active parking garage, right? Next to Boscov's. Didn't the school district like outright?
Well, it really had nothing to do
Oh,
with
it
this,
didn't. Oh,
but
okay.
I'm trying to remember why we've removed the provision that allowed them to kill a project
Mhm.
when you do a deviation. We used to require the approval of the taxing authority.
Mhm.
We changed that, but for some reason, they killed that thing, and I don't think they really knew why they did it.
Okay.
But we had the same thing out with the old Blink building, when that pilot went down. the town of Windsor School District had a real problem,
Mhm.
but none of the others have raised it. So,
Well, we can form a committee and have some more discussion on that. I mean, for the smaller ones, you might say. It's not
That's what
worth
it's
it.
been in the past.
Mhm.
The smaller ones have gone off
Mhm.
and it's just been what
Yeah,
it is.
nobody even noticed,
Right,
Mhm.
but because we have several,
the huge ones.
yeah, it's going to have an impact.
The Sinag is the
That's
big
the
one,
big
it's
one.
gonna cause a,
yeah,
And
We already-
because so many of them are in Owego Appalachian School District, they're just gonna keep getting hit. They're just gonna keep getting hit. I have a schedule and I'll share it with you all that shows what pilots are coming off when, so you have an idea of what timing we're talking about here. I'll get that out to everybody.
This
Yeah.
this is why it went through the assembly and the Senate to put a school board member or a superintendent on each IDA is because of the pilots. It's got to be a direct reflection of that. There's no other reason to do it.
it isn't because you're way smarter than we are.
I would never say that. I'm I'm wore down by this time of night, but that's what it is. But yeah, it's hard to put that genie back in the bottle, and that's why school districts are killing these, is because they just don't want to deal with it. It's not that it has a serious financial implication to them, because it doesn't. It's just they don't want to deal with that tax cap balloon at the end of the 10 or 20 years, whatever it is.
The chances of you guys going into a contingency budget in those years, I assume, is really high and.
Yeah, well, no, it is if you go out to the cap, right? Like my cap this year was 7.43. We were never going to get that down here, you know what I mean? So we went at 2. Corey's cap could be, I don't know, as high as 13. I can't remember what Bob said it would be, but it was going to be significant. He can't go out to that cap, so he's not going to recoup that money. It's going to take him years to get that money, you know what I mean, to where he's even again. In order to get full value of that property, he's got to go out to the cap.
Mhm.
So that's the issue. But I don't know, other than to do it descending, which we've talked about before, how you make that work with this tax cap. That's been the issue for school districts the whole time.
Right. It's a dumb way to do it, is what it is.
No more to follow on that. Project updates, status of asbestos testing for our lovely railroad buildings in Owego.
Yeah, so last month it was approved to go with O'Rourke, but I don't know, and Megan, I don't know if you know, if Christine reached out to O'Rourke and had him start on that or go with it, do you know? Not that I know of. So I can get a hold of O'Rourke and have him start that's what's.
They put in I assume they put in a bid.
Yeah, we got the bids, because nobody would give us a bid for demo without the asbestos.
Okay.
So we did that and try to,
Right.
if I recall, so we had a bid out. and
There were a
they were-
couple received and the board chose to go with O'Rourke.
Yeah, they were the cheapest.
Okay.
Right, so.
So I'll get them started on
Yeah, picked it up. And then other than that, we're on the grant updates. The Richford Railroad is your picture that you received. So we got an update from Larson Design Group on that. They're planning to submit more formal recommendation by the end of June or early July, right? Ideally for the next board meeting.
Yep.
But obviously you can see, I mean, I think they said the level of the water to that bridge deck was about 4 inches.
Yeah.
if I recall.
Yeah.
So, like he said, it's not really acting so much like a bridge as it is a dam. But
You know how deep it was originally?
It's, on the one side, it's like 4 feet deep, on the other side, it's like 4 inches.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
So it probably was 4 feet at one time,
Probably.
at least. Again,
Is this protected?
Any waterway, I assume nowadays in New York, yeah, probably.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know if it's all waterways, but
If you get into a stream, you gotta.
Well, if it's
you
4
gotta
foot
get
on one
DEC
side and 4
permission.
inches on the other, it seems like there's a bunch of muck just needs to come out of there. Somebody takes a big shovel down there and cleans it up. But how far back does it go?
it's
Well, and again, in the email that we got from Larson, I think everything they were talking about was changing the grade of the railroad.
I'll tell you, changing the grade of that railroad is gonna be way, way more expensive than changing the grade of that stream.
Mhm. Yeah, cause you could tell Benton to go up there and in 15 minutes, you'll have that thing cleaned out. No problem.
Well, I'll reach out to Steve Rowe at Larson Design and, ask him if that's a consideration,
Yeah,
it's, dredging the creek.
Changing the grade of the railroad at that point, of course, nobody's using it, so that really riles you up. But changing the grade of that, you're talking millions.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's, I think, what they're tasked with, because, you know, they're,
You'd be better off to just rip it out.
Well, I don't think you can do that with the propane facility up there. I mean, I think you gotta leave service to that site.
Hmm.
There's no way around that, but the grade of the railroad is just, I don't think that's
That's
happening.
not, no, that's a really.
if I recall correctly, I didn't bring that email with me, I should have. I think that was everything they talked about in there was.
Changing the grade of the road.
So the railroad is being used?
Yes,
Well,
Well-
right now, the majority of the revenue that we're seeing is on the southern portion of the tracks. They are getting up north of you now though, right?
No,
Or not quite.
I haven't seen anybody up there in a long time,
Okay.
but, all the cars I see is, they're between here, they're just, you get north of West Creek about maybe a mile, top.
Well,
And then you run out of that there's some double track up there that
Yeah.
they store on.
in and around that West Creek Road area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
other than that, they're not pushing anything north. And the only thing up there is the propane facility.
So yeah, that's not a very active portion right now.
Right. But that, I mean, the DEC would have to get involved in this.
DEC would have to get involved with anything monkeying around with the stream, and again, if you're talking about huge
if it's a truck.
expenses on the
thinking this
railroad
probably
piece,
is.
we'd be talking to our operator.
Is this part of the Weagle Creek?
I'm not sure if that is, if it's the Weaver Creek, that is a truck break.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's
But I'm,
Weaver Creek.
yeah, I don't know where this, I don't know if this is part of the Weagle Creek or if it's on the other side of the valley.
Right,
Yeah,
Oh.
I can't place it. I know the general vicinity, but
well, I'll reach out to Steve and kind of talk to
Alright.
them about that.
Sound good?
Engineering design Lounsbury Industrial Hub, so Hunt will give us an update next month, we got on the survey here between. That survey, I think, just got delivered like the week of our last board meeting.
Yep.
So they've got that.
one more thing in the railroad. I'm not sure how many folks sitting around the table know that whole stretch going north. But that's something to think about one of these days, is to get in one of those pickup trucks on those rails and go up that track and understand what the heck we're talking about. I don't know if everybody's in for that, but
Can I drive?
you're right in the back.
Is there gonna be beer? Are we bringing beer?
Yes.
In the
I'm
back.
in.
So right
I,
up,
I'm still cracking up that we're gonna try to change the railroad grade over that creek. Is that something Soil and Water can look at?
Well,
Uh, I don't know.
let's see what they come back with.
Yeah. We're jumping the gun. We gotta get beer done first.
But we got that, we're riding.
Paying for paper initially, we're not doing anything yet.
Right.
Piece of cranky. All right, that's all my interruptions. Let's move ahead.
Okay, so we'll get an update next month from Hunt.
Okay.
That's the first thing we've done with Hunt in a while, I think.
Yep.
we got our paperwork all submitted. Thank you to Leanne and Megan and Brittany for helping us get organized there. So they got all their boxes checked and we're on the schedule.
Yes.
So that one's wrapping up. I believe there's no material update on the Reed Brook.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to check in on that one yet. I'll see what I can find out.
Blodgett Road is kind of being spearheaded by Wendy Walsh at this point. I think she's got what she needs from us, but
She does.
sounding like that's gonna be a 2025 project.
Yeah,
Yes.
they don't have anybody to do the work right now.
Plus, the state hasn't gotten all of their paperwork over to Wendy, so it's gonna be that.
Last item is the USD IRP loan application. We did get some feedback, in regards to funding. There is funding set aside that would be ours. It's not the full amount that was applied for, but there's no competition either, so we're basically being offered $181,301 that we could put into our, IRP revolving loan program. We've been looking at.
Can we get a motion on that? So
Yeah, we
we were
should.
looking for confirmation that the reduced amount was gonna be okay with the board.
I mean, the only thing I saw in their work document there was in regards to like the necessity to use the funds within a certain period of time, but it
Yeah.
doesn't even seem.
Generally, they'll give you extensions on that much.
Way out.
Well, again, they're obviously that
Year over
document
year, yeah.
is for much more paperwork than what we're
Yes.
talking about here. So, unless anybody's got anything else they want to talk about in regards to the IRP, I'm gonna look
You
for a
need a
motion.
motion for that?
Yeah, to approve us.
So moved.
Second,
All
all in favor?
in favor,
Aye.
opposed, so carried. So we'll get a hold of the rep at USDA and let them know that we are interested in moving forward. 181,301, we pay it back over 30 years. We're still gonna be on the board in 30 years.
Taken on there.
When we did our first IRP and we were looking at 30-year term on that, I was like, 30 years, almost done with that.
With that one.
You're still here.
Yeah.
It's 3 years interest only, and then it goes into repayment for 27 years at 1%. So as long as we can keep the loan portfolio active, make $2 on it.
So do we need an executive?
Anybody have anything for executive? I think, unless somebody else has something, I think we're good.
Okay.
So I will look for
Okay,
it.
just quick question. The next meeting is scheduled for
Mhm.
Wednesday, July 3rd. Does anybody have an issue around the holiday with that, or are we going?
There's a Wednesday, fourth
Yeah,
Thursday.
that
Fourth
would be,
is
that would
Thursday.
be a busy week. Or, I don't know. People might want to take that week off. I don't know.
That's why I'm asking. I didn't know either.
The fourth is Tuesday, I'll take probably now. The fourth and Thursday,
Thursday.
indifferent.
And the next day is off.
Fourth of July will be the day after.
Nobody's got a problem.
Is there anybody who cannot make July 3rd?
I have no idea.
I have no clue.
I have no idea what's on my calendar.
All right, we're going with July 3rd unless we hear otherwise.
Tells me whether I got time to do anything or not.
My wife hasn't told me.
You may have.
Check
You
with
sure you don't have a
someone.
party on the 4th that you have to get ready for?
That's what I'm wondering, what's going on in support. But if we postpone it till the following week, that's my birthday, so we can't do it that evening.
All right,
I got a lot
anybody
of
want to
friends.
make a motion to adjourn our
So
meeting?
moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
We're done. 5:54.
We're in.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks for stopping in, bud.
Hey, headed to Honor Society. We hit it perfect. 5 minutes.
Later.
See ya.
Yeah.
One part at a time.
That's it. Boom. We're in. We're out.
Just gonna get these later?
Bada bing,
Not
bada boom.
in my world. I rode a motorcycle down to the Angry Burrito down in Waverly and got dinner with us.
Did you really?
Okay. I just want to make sure you.
Because
Really nice, fresh.
Taco Tuesday.
They pull it over there.
Got this $23. I'm like,
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm not, I wouldn't be either.
angry burrito down there.
Which.
It's all-
Remember, actually, signing cards.
Oh, yeah, the actual truth.
I'm going to give you.
All right.
I think I'm.
I'm telling your wife, I did. I'd love to be a man. I don't know. I'm sure they just dying to go. Go ahead. Sometimes you do, you know, probably.
Still have to do.
She's not seeing you go.
Meeting and.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi.
I'll strike it. If Mary's our secretary. Yeah, so let me. So get Mary's.
I could sign it, maybe nobody would notice, but I'm not the secretary.
Yeah, I'll
It's not
strike
the
it.
point of the event.
We'll strike it and make it right. You,
Save you from that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's been.
So did you go up on the roof?
Yeah.
That form that I did for.
Whose signature is that?
Mary's.
Okay.
you would never know.
I know, I'm just.
Very impressive.
Yeah,
I think
are a little
I'm a little worried about some
I'm
of
not
the.
gonna find
Oh, I know, I'm
some
like,
of the data.
well, I'm like, if I, really, should I be doing
Sales
that?
tax, keeping track of city sales
Yeah.
tax. That worries me.
I have to admit, though, that was fun.
Dang.
That's cool, yeah.
And I knew once they got Jim talking,
Yeah.
Okay,
cause he knows
Are we
so
good?
much,
Hire somebody.
all right, thank you.
Thanks,
Night.
Joe.
so much history, so much
Changes to committees.
trivia.
I know.
Probably just talk about it in governance.
Fun to talk.
Okay.
Because we're gonna get together with governance and we can just review that and then we
Okay.
make a recommendation to the board.
Okay.
Cause yeah, we're gonna get,
Okay. 'Cause
we gotta
Brenda
get Brenda,
doesn't-
we gotta
she
get
doesn't
Brenda,
have any.
not right now. No, we
I
gotta
feel
get
like
her,
we're hogging them.
That's right.
We need to.
That is totally unfair.
Okay, welcome her. You're welcome.
Right.
Very unfair.
Well, maybe
Wait
she
for
can
tomorrow.
replace me on loan.
We have to pay today.
We should talk about that one. Just to. Rest of.
Yeah.
I'm not HR, this is not,
No, I'm not HR either. Like, we're interviewing people right now. We're interviewing 2 people tomorrow, so. That's hard.
So you haven't hired a person yet? I thought you just hired somebody.
We fired somebody.
You fired someone.
We fired the one that we hired 5 months ago.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Because he did not work out.
Okay.
And now we are, every day, we are finding more reasons that we made the right decision. So we are a staff of 2 instead of 4.
Mm.
Which is very challenging. And we've had no viable applicants for the attorney position because the pay is so low.
So, and that was addressed and fixing that is in the plan, but it's next budget year.
That's an awful long time for me to be alone.
I know. What can I tell you?
Yeah,
How government works.
that is an awful long time. Yeah.